Imagine a place where fear of crime is not part of everyday life, where people walk calmly through the streets, day or night, without worrying about looking back. It seems surreal, doesn't it? But these countries exist, and they have achieved what many believe to be impossible. Total security. In a world where violence makes daily headlines, discovering places where crime practically doesn't exist is fascinating. What do these countries do differently? What secret do they keep? And, more importantly, how does it impact the lives of those who have the privilege of living there? Today, let's explore these havens of peace, where tranquility and trust are the norm, and crime is just a distant exception. Now click like and subscribe to the channel. It will only take a second. Is there anything more fundamental to our peace of mind than security? The truth is that deep down, we all seek to live in a place where fear has no place. Just imagine walking through the streets, day or night, without worrying about looking back. This desire for a safe environment is not just a matter of comfort, but of quality of life. And, in the world we live in, this promise of total security may seem like a distant dream, but there are countries where this dream is real. Places where crime practically does not exist, and life continues its course with an almost unimaginable tranquility. Security, when guaranteed, allows us to fully enjoy the best that life has to offer. The freedom to live without the weight of uncertainty makes all the difference. What if you knew that there are places where crime is nothing more than an exception, and violence seems a distant reality? That's exactly what we're going to talk about. Curiosities about countries that have achieved what many consider impossible. A peaceful coexistence where fear has no place. The promise of these places is a life in harmony, a life where security reigns supreme. But after all, what makes a country so safe? It's not just a question of numbers or laws. There is something deeper, a combination of social, cultural, and political factors that shape the sense of protection people feel. It's fascinating to think that, in some parts of the world, concern about crime is almost non-existent. These countries are living examples that security can be a tangible reality. And that is what we will explore in detail. The curiosity about countries with such impressive security levels is not just a matter of statistics, but of understanding how it is possible to create societies where fear does not thrive. Each of these countries has something to teach us. And along this journey, you will discover what makes them leaders in security, and how these nations build their invisible fortresses, protecting their citizens from dangers that, in other parts of the world, are common. Let's explore what makes these nations so different and what we can learn from them. And so, we delve deeper to understand what really defines a safe country, beyond the numbers and appearances. What really makes a country considered safe? Many think it's just laws and police control, but security goes far beyond that. A safe country is one where people feel protected in every step they take, where trust is the basis of daily interactions. It's worth noting that statistics alone don't tell the whole story. While crime numbers are important, it is the perception of safety that shapes a nation's well-being. This combination of what the numbers show and what people feel on a daily basis is the true foundation of a safe environment. There are international criteria that measure a nation's security, such as the rate of violent crimes, access to justice, and even corruption. However, security is also about social cohesion, about how people live together in harmony, respecting unwritten rules of coexistence. In safe countries, there is a collective sense of responsibility. Citizens look out for each other, and this creates an invisible network of protection. When a nation manages to achieve this synergy, crime numbers naturally fall and peace flourishes. Another key to security is trust in the justice system. People need to believe that laws will be applied fairly and efficiently. In the safest countries in the world, the legal system is a solid pillar. ensuring that those who commit crimes face the consequences, but also that the innocent are protected. Furthermore, trust between citizens and government is essential. If people believe in the institutions that govern them, they feel safer and part of a larger community. However, it's not just about governance. Security is also deeply rooted in a people's culture. Values such as respect, empathy, and cooperation are essential to building a peaceful society. In a safe country, people feel like they are part of something bigger. And this is reflected in every interaction, from the simple good morning between neighbors to the certainty that their concerns will be heard. Now, we can ask ourselves, how do these factors manifest themselves in places like Switzerland, a true haven of peace? Switzerland is often remembered for its political neutrality, but what few know is that this stance also contributes significantly to the country's internal security. Living in a region surrounded by some of the greatest powers in Europe, the Swiss have developed a defense system that, although they rarely need to use, guarantees the peace that the country values so much. The mountains that surround the country seem to be not just a physical barrier, but a symbol of the tranquility that reigns there. The result? One of the safest nations in the world, where crime is almost non-existent and the quality of life is impressive. In addition to the policy of neutrality, Switzerland has a culture of domestic security that permeates all levels of society. Each citizen is responsible for their own safety and that of their neighbors, creating a natural protection network. In a country where almost all men are army reservists, the notion of individual responsibility is taken very seriously. However, this responsibility is not accompanied by fear or distrust, but rather by a collective awareness that everyone is part of the same security and well-being project. Switzerland's justice system also plays a crucial role in maintaining security. With a highly trained and respected police force, the country manages to balance strict laws with an approach focused on prevention. It is not uncommon for citizens themselves to actively participate in law enforcement, not in a vigilant way, but as part of a culture of mutual respect. The result is a country where trust in the legal system is high, and the feeling of security is even greater. But perhaps the biggest factor that makes Switzerland a haven of peace is the role of culture. The Swiss value privacy, order, and respect for others. This directly reflects on the way they interact with each other, creating an environment of tranquility and cooperation. In small towns and villages, where everyone knows everyone, the sense of community is strong, further reinforcing the idea that security is a shared responsibility. Now, our journey takes us to another fascinating country, Iceland, an island of tranquility in the middle of the Atlantic. Imagine a land where wild nature dominates the landscape, but human violence is virtually non-existent. This is Iceland, an island in the middle of the Atlantic that looks like something out of a fairy tale. With a small and geographically isolated population, Iceland has built its reputation for tranquility on strong social cohesion. There, the idea of community is not just a concept, but a reality. People know each other, trust each other, and collaborate to keep the peace. The isolation that could be a factor of vulnerability has actually turned into a strength, making Iceland one of the safest countries in the world. Part of the secret to this tranquility lies in the absence of an armed police force. Yes, you heard that right. Icelandic police don't carry weapons. Confidence in the peaceful resolution of conflicts is so deep that weapons are unnecessary. Instead, the focus is on prevention and dialogue, which creates a society where the use of force is seen as a last option. Violence is a rarity, and Icelanders are proud of it. It is a model that defies convention and proves that in some places, mutual respect is the most powerful weapon of all. Iceland's small communities are another key to understanding its security success. With just a few 100,000 inhabitants, many of whom live in smaller towns or cities, The sense of shared responsibility is intense. There is no room for anonymity, which means everyone feels responsible for each other. This creates a virtuous cycle of trust and respect, where crime simply has no place to grow. Iceland is a living example that security is not just a product of laws, but of a deeply rooted culture of respect and collaboration. But there's more to Iceland than just its social cohesion. The intimate relationship with nature also contributes to the feeling of peace. Contact with the dramatic and vast landscapes creates a unique perspective on life. Icelanders have a strong connection with the environment around them, and this harmony with nature seems to be reflected in human relationships. With this, Iceland stands out as a model to be followed. Now, we leave for Japan, where discipline and respect for the law are the pillars of safety. Japan is a country where order and discipline are not just values, but an integral part of everyday life. From an early age, Japanese people are taught to respect the rules, and this is reflected in all aspects of society. Safety in Japan is not only guaranteed by the police force or strict laws, but by the deeply rooted culture of mutual respect and responsibility. In overcrowded cities, where millions of people pass through daily, it is impressive to see how harmony prevails. Everything seems to work like a well-oiled machine, driven by a silent, almost sacred respect for social norms. One of the most fascinating aspects of Japan is its low crime rate, especially when it comes to violent crimes. Even in the largest metropolises, such as Tokyo, violence rates are extremely low. This is not just the merit of the authorities, but of the population itself. The discipline with which the Japanese lead their lives creates an atmosphere of security that few countries can replicate. It is common to see children going to school alone in Tokyo or Osaka, something unthinkable in many parts of the world. Trust in others is the key to this peaceful coexistence. The justice system in Japan is also one of the factors that contribute to order. Laws are enforced rigorously and efficiently, but the main focus is on prevention. Crime, when it happens, is treated with the seriousness it deserves, but always with a rehabilitation approach. The culture of collective responsibility makes everyone feel part of the solution. Furthermore, the police in Japan are respected, but they act discreetly, without the overt use of force, creating a relationship of trust with the population. Another pillar of security in Japan is education. From an early age, children learn about the importance of order, respect, and discipline. This not only ensures a safer, but also a more civilized society. Schools, for example, teach students to clean their own classrooms, instilling a sense of responsibility and respect for public space. Japan is living proof that when a nation values discipline, it reaps the rewards of order. And now, let's explore Norway, where social equality and well-being go hand in hand with security. In Norway, security goes far beyond patrols and surveillance cameras. The country has built a social welfare system that is one of the most advanced in the world, and this system is key to understanding the security that Norwegians enjoy. Social equality is one of the pillars of security in the country. When there are fewer disparities between rich and poor, conflicts are fewer, and crime is less likely to flourish. Norway, with its impressive income distribution and public policies focused on the well-being of all, has proven that security is born from social justice. Furthermore, Norway has one of the most effective rehabilitation systems in the world. Unlike many nations that adopt severe punishment as a rule, Norwegians believe that rehabilitation is the path to a safer society. Its prisons are more like re-education centers, where the focus is on preparing offenders for reintegration into society. The result? Norway has one of the lowest criminal recidivism rates in the world. Here, security is not just a matter of containment, but of opportunity for all. Another point that highlights Norway is the trust that the people place in its institutions. There is a feeling that the government really cares about its citizens, and this perception strengthens the social bond. Trust between government and population creates a solid foundation for peaceful and safe coexistence. The welfare state is not seen as a simple policy, but as a contract between government and citizens where everyone has access to the same rights and opportunities, and this drastically reduces the need to resort to crime. Norway's success in keeping its crime rates low can also be attributed to its long-term approach. Public policies aimed at equality, education, and health create a society in which people feel safe and supported. It is interesting to think that by investing in social policies, Norway is, in fact, investing in security. Now, we head to Singapore, a country where the laws are strict and the government leaves no room for error, guaranteeing almost absolute safety. Singapore is a fascinating example of how strict laws and inflexible enforcement can transform a country's security. Known worldwide for its zero-tolerance policy on crime, this city-state has one of the lowest crime rates on the planet. The laws in Singapore are clear, strict, and effectively enforced. From small crimes, such as throwing rubbish in the street, to more serious crimes, the punishment is certain and often harsh. This has created a culture of order that permeates every aspect of daily life. Here, discipline is not a choice, but an expectation. The Singapore government has not only created a rigorous crime control system, but has also invested heavily in the infrastructure that supports this security. The city is constantly monitored by security cameras, and the streets are patrolled regularly. The focus is on prevention, and the feeling of security is palpable. However, this rigidity can generate discussions. On the one hand, many praise the effectiveness of the system, which has almost eliminated crime. On the other hand, there are those who criticize the lack of individual freedom in an environment where any small transgression can result in punishment. In addition to laws, the Singapore government has also invested in social policies that help maintain security. The educational system, for example, teaches from an early age the importance of following the rules and respecting others. Singaporean society is built around the concept that order is the path to collective success. And it works. On clean, well-organized streets, there is a sense that each citizen is responsible for maintaining safety, which drastically reduces the need for extreme police actions. However, the question remains, is this security sustainable in the long term? Singapore proves that in a highly controlled environment, security can be almost absolute, but the question of personal freedom remains up in the air. With this, we can ask ourselves, would it be possible to maintain the same security with a lighter approach? The diversity of approaches is what makes the next country, Canada, an intriguing example of how peace and diversity can coexist in harmony. Canada is one of the countries that best exemplifies how diversity and peace can coexist harmoniously. In a nation that welcomes cultures from around the world, security is not just a matter of laws, but of social integration. Canada's migration policy is open and inclusive, and this has helped to create a multicultural society where different ethnicities, languages, and traditions coexist in peace. Canadian diversity is not seen as a weakness, but as a strength. In a country where kindness and cooperation are outstanding characteristics, crime seems to have little room to grow. Respect between citizens is fundamental to security in Canada. Public policies aimed at social inclusion and respect for differences create an environment where everyone feels part of a greater whole. This does not mean that crime does not exist, but the rates are extremely low, especially when it comes to violent crimes. In cities like Toronto and Vancouver, diverse communities coexist peacefully, with mutual respect that directly reflects on safety levels. Canada, therefore, teaches that peace can be cultivated amid diversity, as long as there is respect and cooperation. Additionally, Canada's healthcare and education system also contributes to the security landscape. When people's basic needs are met, crime tends to decrease. Access to free healthcare and quality education are pillars that guarantee social stability. With less inequality, there are fewer conflicts. Canada proves that investing in the well-being of the population is, in fact, investing in the country's security. This balance between diversity and social policies creates an environment where peace thrives. However, Canada also faces challenges. The vast territorial extension and the diversity of its populations impose the need for a security system that adapts to different realities. Even so, trust in the government and institutions is high, which reinforces the social bond and the feeling of security among citizens. Now, we move on to Denmark, where citizens' happiness seems to go hand in hand with public safety. In Denmark, security appears to be directly linked to happiness. This small Nordic country is consistently ranked as one of the happiest in the world, and not coincidentally, it is also one of the safest. The relationship between happiness and security cannot be ignored. When people are satisfied with their lives, they have less reason to resort to crime. In Denmark, citizens enjoy an exceptional quality of life, with access to free education, high-quality public health care, and a social network that supports the most vulnerable. This robust structure means that crime has little space to develop. Mutual trust is another key factor in Danish security. Danes trust each other and also the institutions that govern them. In a country where social disparities are minimal, there is a strong sense of equality. This social cohesion creates a safe environment where people feel protected and part of a close-knit community. Trust goes beyond numbers. It is seen in small everyday interactions, such as leaving bicycles unlocked on the streets or children playing alone in parks. Trust is, in a way, the greatest weapon against crime. Another interesting aspect is education. In Denmark, from an early age, children are taught the importance of equality and cooperation. Schools not only prepare young people academically, but also to be responsible citizens. Emotional education is a pillar of the Danish system, and this is reflected in adult society. By prioritizing the mental and emotional well-being of its citizens, the country is investing in a future where crime remains the exception, not the rule. Security comes from happiness and a sense of belonging. The concept of hygge, a Danish word that describes a feeling of well-being and comfort, also plays a role. In Denmark, life revolves around creating moments of simple happiness, whether with friends, at home, or at work. This creates a calmer society, where tensions are low and well-being is a priority. Now, we move on to New Zealand, where inner peace seems to be deeply connected with nature and social security. New Zealand is a country where security appears to be deeply connected to its stunning natural landscape. The vast mountains, forests, and wild beaches are not only picture postcard settings, but also seem to influence New Zealanders' lifestyles. There is an intrinsic connection between respect for nature and social peace. For many, living in harmony with the surrounding environment also means living in harmony with others. The tranquility that nature offers directly reflects on the way citizens behave and coexist, creating a society where crime is a rare exception. Additionally, New Zealand prioritizes an outdoor lifestyle, encouraging physical activity and connection with nature. This approach helps promote mental and emotional well-being, which in turn reduces the stress and social tensions that often lead to crime. Safety here is not just physical, but also emotional. The outdoors, park walks, and stunning beaches provide a work-life balance that few countries can achieve. The inner peace this generates translates into collective security. Another factor that contributes to safety in New Zealand is respect for environmental laws and social justice. The country has a progressive approach when it comes to protecting both people and the environment. Conservation policies are strict and respected by everyone, and this creates a culture of collective responsibility. When a country takes care of its lands and its people, the result is a more balanced and secure society. This connection between nature, peace, and security makes New Zealand a fascinating example of how natural environments can shape human life. Finally, New Zealand is also known for its inclusive immigration policies and respect for diversity. The population, made up of different cultures, lives in harmony, and the government continually invests in equality and integration policies. It is a nation where social peace is not just a goal, but a daily reality. Now, let's travel to Finland, where trust in the government and others are the foundations of a safe and prosperous society. In Finland, trust is a precious asset, and it is not just trust in the government, but also in others. This sense of security comes from a society where transparency is a fundamental principle. Finns trust their institutions because they are clear, efficient, and focused on the common good. This trust between the people and the government creates a solid foundation for peaceful and prosperous coexistence. The result is one of the safest nations in the world, where people live without fear, knowing that their concerns will be heard and resolved fairly. In addition to the government, there is mutual trust between the citizens themselves. This is visible in the little things, like the common practice of leaving strollers outside cafes while parents enjoy a leisurely coffee. Crime just isn't a big concern here. People trust each other because mutual respect is an essential part of culture. Honesty is cultivated from an early age, and the educational system plays a fundamental role in building this trusting society. Children learn, from the beginning, the importance of empathy and social responsibility. The Finnish education system, widely considered one of the best in the world, is not just concerned with academic performance, but with developing responsible and socially conscious citizens. The focus on equal opportunities and emotional well-being creates a generation that values respect for others and cooperation. When citizens grow up in an environment that values these qualities, the result is a society in which crime finds little or no opportunity to thrive. Education here is seen as a tool to build social peace. Another important factor is government transparency. Political decisions are made openly, and citizens have easy access to information. This reduces corruption and increases trust in the system. When people feel they can trust their leaders and each other, safety becomes a natural consequence. And so, Finland stands as an example that trust can be the basis of a safe society. Now, we head to Austria, where tradition and order combine to guarantee peaceful coexistence. Austria, with its rich history and centuries-old traditions, is an example of how respect for order and culture can guarantee security and stability. This small European country, known for its impressive architecture and clean cities, has at its core a strong sense of community and respect for the law. What makes Austria so safe is precisely this combination of tradition and order. Life here is guided by clear rules which are respected by everyone. This respect is passed down from generation to generation, making Austrian society a model of peaceful coexistence. Tradition alone does not guarantee security, but in Austria it plays a fundamental role. Respect for local culture and family values is part of the Austrian identity. In small towns, for example, everyone knows everyone, and interactions are marked by a silent but present trust. This strong connection with cultural roots creates social cohesion that prevents the emergence of major conflicts. It is interesting to note how the history of a people can directly influence their security in the present. Austria, with its rich heritage, knew how to transform tradition into order and peace. Austria's health and social welfare system also contributes significantly to this security. When people have their basic needs covered, such as access to quality healthcare and education, they feel safe and supported. The Austrian government has a strong commitment to maintaining quality of life, which is directly reflected in low crime rates. Urban security, both in large cities like Vienna and in remote villages, is guaranteed by a balance between effective public policies and a people who value order. Furthermore, Austria invests heavily in urban security and modern infrastructure. Streets are well lit, transport systems are efficient, and public spaces are designed to promote peaceful coexistence. Everything seems to work fluidly, reflecting the commitment to order that Austrians have maintained for centuries. And so, Austria stands out as a country where tradition and modernity come together to create a safe and orderly environment. Now, we head to Luxembourg, a small security giant with its strong economy and effective surveillance. Luxembourg, despite its small size, is a giant when it comes to safety and quality of life. With one of the strongest economies in Europe, the country has transformed its financial prosperity into a model of stability and security. Luxembourg's wealth, however, is not her only weapon against crime. The real secret lies in the combination of efficient public policies and a highly educated and aware population. The surveillance system is modern and discreet, creating an environment where people feel protected without their freedom being compromised. The balance between security and freedom is one of the great achievements of this small country. Luxembourg's economy plays a crucial role in maintaining its security. With one of the highest per capita GDPs in the world, the country is able to invest in infrastructure, education, and public security in an exemplary manner. When a country has sufficient resources to guarantee the well-being of its citizens, crime tends to decrease. Access to healthcare, education, and employment opportunities creates a society where people feel fulfilled and part of something bigger. The feeling of security in Luxembourg comes both from the money and the way it is invested in the population. Surveillance in Luxembourg is an example of how technology can be used effectively and non-invasively. Security cameras are spread across the country, monitoring public and private areas, but always with the concern of respecting citizens' privacy. This creates a feeling of constant protection without the overt presence of the police force. Furthermore, the Luxembourg police are highly trained and respond quickly to any threat. Confidence in the security system is high, and citizens know they are being protected, even without realizing it. Luxembourg may be small in terms of territory, but it is huge in terms of security. The combination of a prosperous economy, well-planned public policies, and a modern security infrastructure means that the country is always at the top of global security rankings. Now, we leave for the Netherlands, where constant dialogue between government and citizens is the key to maintaining peace and security in a perfect balance. The Netherlands is a shining example of how constant dialogue between government and citizens can create a safe and harmonious society. Over the years, the Dutch have developed a culture of open conversation and mutual respect, where everyone's voices are heard and considered. This is directly reflected in the country's security. Instead of extreme and repressive measures, the Netherlands adopts a more humane approach, based on communication and consensus. Here, the balance between personal freedom and public order is subtly maintained, and crime finds little room to thrive. One of the great examples of this is the policy of legalizing certain substances and practices that, in other countries, would be illegal. Instead of fiercely fighting problems like drug use, the Dutch government chose to regulate these activities in a controlled manner with positive results. Organized crime related to these issues has been drastically reduced, and the approach focused on prevention and dialogue has resulted in a calmer society. This demonstrates that by creating an environment where people feel heard and understood, safety can flourish naturally. Another notable aspect is the Dutch justice system, which, like the government, also focuses on resolving conflicts through dialogue. Measures such as reintegration programs for offenders and sentences more focused on recovery than punishment have generated excellent results. Instead of marginalizing those who make mistakes, Dutch society welcomes them back, creating a positive cycle of trust and security. This approach of treating the causes and not just the symptoms of social problems is one of the pillars that maintains peace in the country. The result is a society where freedom and responsibility go hand in hand. The Netherlands proves that when dialogue is a priority and policies are based on trust and inclusion, public safety is strengthened. This balance, often difficult to achieve in other nations, is the secret to Dutch success. Now, we head to Portugal, where social tranquility and hospitality have become trademarks that attract tourists and provide security for residents. Portugal is known for its relaxed pace of life and warm hospitality, qualities that directly contribute to the country's security. The peaceful social climate, combined with the welcoming culture of the Portuguese, makes Portugal a safe destination for both its inhabitants and the millions of tourists who visit every year. The calm that permeates cities, especially outside large urban centers, creates an environment where crime does not thrive. It is a place where people can walk peacefully through the streets, trusting in public safety and the mutual respect that prevails. Portuguese hospitality goes beyond welcoming tourists. It is an integral part of local culture, a tradition that strengthens ties between citizens themselves. This willingness to care for others generates a cycle of trust that, in the end, directly impacts safety. Portugal is the kind of country where people still know each other by name in small towns and villages, and this sense of community creates a natural safety net. The tranquility of everyday life, combined with a culture of respect, helps keep crime rates low. Another important factor is the impact of tourism on security. As one of the most popular destinations in Europe, Portugal knows that its reputation as a safe country is one of the biggest attractions for visitors. This leads the government to continually invest in public security, ensuring that streets are well policed and tourist spaces are monitored. But, unlike some highly touristic destinations where the police presence is obvious, in Portugal everything seems to happen discreetly, maintaining the feeling of peace without creating an oppressive atmosphere. In recent years, Portugal has undergone demographic changes, with an increasing number of immigrants settling in the country. Rather than generating tension, this diversity has been incorporated harmoniously, and safety continues to be a priority. The country has managed to balance tradition and modernity, maintaining its roots while adapting to a globalized world. And now we travel to Sweden, where technological innovation has become a powerful ally in crime prevention. In Sweden, security is a direct reflection of innovation and the intelligent use of technology. The country has invested heavily in technological solutions to keep its cities safe, and the result is a nation that leads the way when it comes to crime prevention and control. Swedish cities are examples of how modernity can be used to promote collective well-being. Security cameras, monitoring systems, and advanced digital tools are part of urban infrastructure, but most notably, this is done without sacrificing the privacy and freedom of citizens. Technological innovation in Sweden is not limited to monitoring. The country is also at the forefront when it comes to fast and efficient justice. The Swedish judicial system is known for its speed in dealing with crimes, ensuring that punishments are fair and carried out quickly. At the same time, there is a strong focus on rehabilitation, ensuring that offenders can reintegrate into society. This balance between punishment and reintegration means that criminal recidivism is very low, contributing to a more peaceful and stable society. Gender equality is also an important aspect of Swedish security. The country is one of the most progressive in the world when it comes to guaranteeing equal rights for men and women, and this equality is directly reflected in safety levels. When a society treats all of its citizens with respect and provides the same opportunities, crime is less likely to thrive. Sweden shows us that social justice and security go hand in hand, and that inclusive policies result in a more harmonious coexistence. Another important factor is the role of the Swedish government in promoting technological innovation in the service of security. Cities are becoming smart cities, where technology is used to predict and prevent crime. Sensors spread across the streets, cameras with artificial intelligence, and data analysis tools are just some of the innovations that make Sweden a leading country in safety. Now, we head to Ireland, a country that has undergone an incredible transformation by overcoming conflict and becoming a place of peace and prosperity. Ireland is a country that has undergone one of the most notable transformations in terms of security and social peace. A place that, a few decades ago, was marked by intense conflicts and political divisions. Today is an example of how stability and peace can be achieved through dialogue and social development. The end of the conflict known as the Troubles was a decisive milestone for the country, bringing with it a new era of prosperity and security. Reconciliation between different groups and a focus on social well-being have shaped Ireland as a nation where peaceful coexistence is a priority. Economic growth played a crucial role in this transformation process. In recent years, Ireland has established itself as one of the main technological and financial centers in Europe, and with this growth has also come greater social stability. The creation of jobs and improved living conditions have helped to drastically reduce levels of violence. Today, Ireland is one of the safest countries on the continent, with very low crime rates, especially in rural areas, where life follows a slower, more peaceful pace. The Irish justice system has also been modernized to match this transformation. Authorities invested in police closer to the community and in policies focused on crime prevention. Respect between citizens and authorities is visible in everyday interactions, creating an atmosphere of mutual trust. Furthermore, social reintegration programs for ex-criminals have helped keep recidivism rates low, showing that Ireland is committed to not just punishing, but giving a second chance to those who have gone astray. Another notable point is the strength of local communities in promoting safety. Ireland is a country where family traditions and community spirit are valued. In villages and small towns, residents still know each other by name, and this strong connection between people creates a safe environment where crime has little room to grow. Ireland is living proof that with dialogue, economic development, and inclusive policies, even the oldest conflicts can be overcome. Now, we head to Monaco, a small territory where exclusivity and total surveillance guarantee almost impenetrable security. Monaco, with its shine and exclusivity, is a unique example of how extreme wealth can be synonymous with absolute security. This small principality, situated on the Mediterranean coast, is known for attracting millionaires and billionaires from around the world, and its security is a top priority. With a small but incredibly wealthy population, Monaco combines total surveillance with discretion, creating an environment where crime is virtually non-existent. The streets of Monte Carlo, its most famous neighborhood, are a spectacle of luxury and tranquility, watched by cameras at every corner and patrolled by a highly efficient police force. The secret behind Monaco's security lies in its surveillance infrastructure. Virtually all public spaces are monitored, and the police have an impressive response time to any incident, no matter how small. The police presence is constant, but in such a discreet way that visitors and residents hardly feel oppressed. It's as if there was an invisible bubble of protection around the country. The feeling of security in Monaco is so strong that many residents leave their doors unlocked, trusting in the effectiveness of the security system. Another important factor is the strict control over who can live and visit the principality. Monaco is highly selective about its residents, which naturally limits the number of people who could cause problems. The government, together with security authorities, keeps a detailed record of all people entering and leaving the country, further strengthening control over security. This type of exclusivity means that organized crime and other forms of violence simply do not find space to develop. Monaco is an extreme example of how wealth and surveillance can combine to create an almost impenetrable safe haven. The clean streets, luxurious architecture, and peaceful lifestyle reflect a society built to be a sanctuary for the rich and powerful. But, even with all this security apparatus, Monaco still faces some challenges, as do other safe countries. Let's now explore the challenges that even the safest countries still have to face. Even the safest countries in the world face their challenges. Security, like any other social aspect, is not static. Issues such as immigration, growing inequality in some regions, and global threats such as terrorism and cybercrime continue to test the protective structures of these countries. Nations like Switzerland, Iceland, and Japan, although they are models of security, need to deal with the impacts of an increasingly globalized and interconnected world. The arrival of new populations and changes in the economic scenario can destabilize this delicate balance. Immigration, for example, is one of the most delicate topics. Many safe countries have seen an increase in the number of immigrants, and this creates the need for policies that integrate these new populations without compromising security. Social integration is essential to maintain cohesion and avoid conflicts. Countries like Sweden and Germany, which have open reception policies, face the challenge of ensuring that newcomers adapt and contribute positively to society without increasing social tensions. Another growing challenge is the threat of cybercrime. With the advancement of technology, even the safest countries are not immune to cyber attacks. Banks, government systems, and critical infrastructure are increasingly exposed to hackers and other forms of digital crime. Countries like Singapore and Sweden have led efforts to strengthen their cyber defenses, but the problem continues to grow globally. Physical security is no longer enough. It is also necessary to protect the virtual environment, and this is a challenge that many countries are learning to face. Furthermore, personal freedom itself can become a security challenge. Finding the balance between protecting citizens and ensuring their individual freedoms is an issue that countries like Singapore face daily. How far can government control go before it becomes oppressive? The secure countries of the future will have to find solutions to maintain order without stifling freedom. Now, let's explore the role of local communities in maintaining peace and security in some of the world's most peaceful nations. In many of the world's safest countries, the key to peace and security lies not just in government policies, but in communities themselves. The role of local communities is crucial in maintaining order and tranquility. In Swiss villages, small towns in Norway, or organized communities in New Zealand, a sense of shared responsibility is a decisive factor in ensuring safety. The idea that every citizen has an active role in protecting and caring for the space around them creates an invisible but powerful safety net. Community initiatives, such as neighborhood groups, social projects, and voluntary surveillance programs, are common practices in these countries. They not only help reduce crime, but also strengthen the social bond between residents. The simple act of getting to know each other and helping each other in everyday situations keeps crime rates low. When people feel like they are part of something bigger, commitment to collective security becomes natural. Countries like Finland have invested in encouraging communities to organize and collaborate with police forces, creating a cooperation network that goes beyond laws. Another important aspect is the sense of belonging and cultural identity that many of these communities share. In small villages in Iceland, for example, where everyone knows each other by name, crime is practically non-existent. This sense of belonging creates a more cohesive and safe community. When people see themselves as part of a support network, they are more inclined to take action to protect their neighbors and contribute to local safety. In many of these countries, the role of the community is critical in ensuring that security remains stable, even in times of change. Successful examples of these initiatives can be seen in cities of all sizes. Urban revitalization projects, creating safe public spaces, and youth activity programs are just some of the ways communities are growing stronger. And while governments offer support, it's local engagement that really makes a difference. Now, let's explore how technology is shaping the future of global security, and what that means for the world's safest nations. The technology of the future is already beginning to shape the present when it comes to global security, and the world's safest countries are at the forefront of this revolution. Artificial intelligence, facial recognition, and digital surveillance are becoming powerful tools for predicting and preventing crimes before they even happen. Countries like Singapore, Sweden, and Japan are investing heavily in cutting-edge technologies that help monitor people's behavior and identify potential threats. But as technology advances, new questions about privacy and how far state control can go also arise. The rise of artificial intelligence, for example, allows security cameras to begin identifying suspicious patterns, tracking unusual movements, and alerting authorities before something serious happens. In Singapore, entire streets are monitored by cameras equipped with artificial intelligence, capable of detecting small signs of criminal activity. This type of surveillance creates an unprecedented sense of security, but it also raises questions about the invasion of privacy. The challenge of the future will be to find the balance between protecting citizens and guaranteeing their individual freedoms. Another field where technology is revolutionizing security is cyberspace. Cybercrimes, such as financial fraud and data theft, are growing at an alarming rate. Countries like Sweden, with their digital dependence and high connectivity, are increasingly exposed to these new forms of crime. In response, governments have invested in advanced cybersecurity systems to protect critical infrastructure, databases, and personal information. The battle against hackers is becoming one of the biggest battlefronts for the most developed and secure countries. Finally, the use of cryptocurrencies and digital transactions has brought a new challenge to authorities. While offering new forms of financial freedom, these technologies also facilitate organized crime and money laundering. Maintaining control of these activities without hindering innovations will be a constant challenge. As technology advances, global security will need to adapt to these changes, and the most secure countries will continue to lead the way. Now, as we close this journey through the safest countries in the world, we reflect on the future of these nations and the role that each citizen has in preserving peace and order. The future of the safest countries in the world will depend on their ability to adapt to global changes and the new threats that emerge every day. Security is not a static concept, and what works today may not be enough tomorrow. As societies evolve, challenges also become more complex. Issues such as mass migrations, climate change, and growing cyber threats will continue to test even the best-prepared nations. But if there is anything we have learned from the safest countries in the world, it is that social cohesion, trust in institutions, and a commitment to innovation are the pillars that support a society at peace. Every citizen also plays a crucial role in maintaining that security. It is not just the government's responsibility, but everyone's. Whether it's respecting laws, supporting inclusive policies, or promoting social cohesion in your communities, safety is a collective effort. Countries like Iceland, Japan, and Switzerland show us that, when society works together, crime has no room to grow. The future belongs to those who are capable of building this harmony between freedom and security. But as we face new threats, we need to be prepared to find creative solutions. The use of technology, while vital, needs to be balanced with privacy and civil liberties. Likewise, inclusion policies must ensure that everyone, regardless of their background, has the same opportunities to contribute to society. The future of safe countries will be shaped by their ability to continue innovating and adapting to the needs of an increasingly connected and interdependent global population. Finally, the role of each citizen will be fundamental. As you reflect on examples of the safest countries in the world, ask yourself, what can I do to contribute to the safety of my own environment? How can I promote peace and order in my community? Every small action counts, and together we can continue to build a safe future for everyone. And so, we end our journey, but the responsibility continues. Security is a collective construction, and the future is in the hands of each of us.
Hey explorers, if you love discovering the amazing curiosities and stories we share here on Exploring Nations, how about supporting the channel with just $1? This small gesture can make a big difference and is essential to keep this content going. Without your support, our journey might be cut short. And there's more. When you shop on Amazon, use our special link. It costs you nothing extra, plus you get an exclusive discount and it helps us out a lot. The links for donations and Amazon are pinned in the first comment. Don't let this adventure stop, we're counting on you. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like, and drop us a comment.